Hi, Jan Ozer here. I'm here today with Marcus Liassides, who's the President and CEO of Sorenson Media. They've just introduced a couple of new products and a couple of new services, and I wanted to get the read from Marcus as to where the company's going. So, Marcus, why don't we start? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, thanks, Jan. So I've been around the digital media space for a while. I founded a couple of companies in the UK, a company called Innoc Networks that was sold to a company here in Utah, American Fork, called Move Networks, kind of an early innovator in rate adaptive streaming. That company was sold to EchoStar and now has become the basis for Dish Digital. After that, I was around the digital advertising space. And joined Sorenson Media 18 months ago. Very, very excited by the potential and the technology that we have here.
What attracted you to Sorenson Media?
Well, I'd looked at a number of companies, and I had a vision for kind of the landscape and the way that TV was changing, and particularly moving more digital. And the thing I liked around Sorenson is that they really touched both ends of the distribution chain. We have over 500,000 installations of our Squeeze product in large broadcasters, studios, networks all across the US. So I like that we touch the encoding side, but we also have deployments in handsets, lots of mobile handsets, over 1 billion handsets that have the technology embedded in it. So I like that we're at the decoding end. So we touched both ends of the video chain. So the excitement for me is what more can we do around that? So as content distribution and the economics change, I was excited to join Sorenson Media to see how we can play a role in that changing landscape.
Okay, so Sorenson 360 is I guess the first major new product, and that was followed by a couple of others just yesterday. So Sorenson 360, was that the name of the old online video platform? And you just kind of...
The 360 product was launched a number of years ago, the original OVP product. We've completely rebuilt that product from the ground up. That product was principally focused, and is still around. We renamed that Squeeze Stream. It's very tied to Squeeze encoding. So if someone was using our Squeeze desktop or server product, they could use Stream to send individual files. Squeeze 360, the new Squeeze 360, is focused on much more heavy lifting around content distribution and encoding. So rather than needing many different presets for different devices, we provide a single encode for broadcasters, content owners, to deliver not just their on-demand content, but their live content in real time. So really a completely re-engineered product at just the time that broadcasters and content owners are looking at over-the-top distribution.
Okay, so who is the target customer for that?
It could be any content owner. We're looking initially at stations and more targeted at local broadcast stations. So there's about 2,500 to 3,000 local stations throughout the US. All of them seeing kind of CBS announcements, NBC announcements, lots of activity in the kind of over-the-top space, and the bundle starting to break. So all of them keen to figure out how they play in that space. So our initial target market are the local broadcasters. They're already customers of ours. We can start working with them as a trusted partner to work out both the technology and, more importantly, the economics of delivering video over the top.
Okay, so what's your, what's the 2 or 3 sentence comparison with a Bright Cove or a Kaltura?
Well, I think the most comparable product is Uplink, which was bought by Verizon Digital Media Services. They're very much focused on kind of that live linear experience and bringing that to OTT. So I think we solve a similar task there, but much more focused on the very small or the local broadcasters that don't really have in-house teams to go and build this. So even if they selected Bright Cove or Yala as an OVP, there's lots of integration, lots of work to do around that to make it work in the way that they want it to. We're very focused on a turnkey solution that gets them up and running very, very quickly without needing any technical expertise on staff.
Okay, and this is installed on their premise, or is it a software as a service in the cloud?
It's both. It has 2 components. So there's a turnkey appliance that we provide to them as part of our agreement, so there's no capital outlay for them up front. They install that in their facility. That then sends a stream to the cloud, and then we do all the heavy lifting in the cloud. So it's all rate adaptive based, it's HLS based. We then do all the encoding and transcoding and distribution to different devices, all from the cloud. So there's a device element, and then there's a cloud element to it as well.
What are the devices that you're currently streaming to, and which devices can you access? You mentioned OTT a bunch. I presume it also plays on computers
Absolutely.
and mobile.
So web, iOS, Android devices, and then all the many connected devices out there, Roku boxes, Xbox. So all the connected devices that consumers are increasingly consuming content on, we're focused on making sure that that content owner can deliver content to those devices without having to understand those devices in detail, or themselves get their hands dirty on making sure that the video is in that format.
Okay. What about encryption and captioning? Because I know there's captioning requirements for a lot of the broadcasters, and encryption, they may or may not want it, but it's certainly something that some will want.
Yeah, well, certainly if they don't want encryption now, they're going to want encryption in the future. So we use AES 128 HLS encryption, standard HLS encryption, and we support closed captions. One of the big differences around the task that we're set out to solve is this isn't just video streamed on the internet. This is taking television and delivering it to over the top, and that has, as you know, closed captioning, AES, lots of things that come from the TV space that haven't really need to be considered so much in the online space. So it takes an understanding of both TV and digital to really fuse this together.
Okay, and what's the status of the product? Is it shipping? Is it in beta?
We're in pilots right now. We're very fortunate that over 60% of local broadcasters are customers of ours already. So we have several hundred local stations that are long-standing Squeeze customers. So we've gone back to our customer base. We found a very active and excited base there of pilot customers. So we're working through those pilots now and working out some of the kinks of any new product, and we aim to have the product generally available early next year.
Okay. Can you talk about price at all, or how you're going to charge for it?
A very, very simple model. I've been involved in companies that had quite complicated kind of bit rate models. It's all going to be based on time streamed. There's no penalty for high definition. We want content owners to be encouraged to provide high definition video to their consumers. So it's all going to be priced on a per hour basis of content delivered.
Okay. Is there any kind of electronic program guide, or is it just a simple single stream from the station at all times?
In the first instance, it's a single stream, but we have initiatives that we're working on right now to wrap the whole experience around that. Not just a guide around the video, but making this look and feel more like television, on a more digital device. So we're focused on guides, EPGs, discovery, recommendation, and search.
Okay. So that's Sorenson 360, and yesterday or 2 days ago, you announced a whole new suite of products called Spark, and you mentioned a few minutes ago that you're already in, I guess, a billion mobile phones. So Spark used to be a codec.
It did.
And it still is a codec. I noticed on your website, your updated website,
yes,
that you're selling it still. So tell us about Spark.
So you're right. The Spark brand has been a brand that we've used for some time as a codec. The new suite of Spark products is really aimed again at that core segment of broadcasters of television stations, trying to help them move into the digital world. And TV is still a huge anchor, both for viewing from consumers, but also for advertising. But it hasn't really had the digital capabilities that other devices have had. So the Spark suite of products aim to bring the best of digital to the best of television. The first product is Enlight, that's focused on real-time analytics, coming back from TV sets, so that broadcasters can improve the output of their content based on the insight that they get from that. And then Enhance is around making TV advertising more focused, more targeted, more addressable. And Engage is focused on the stations providing more interactive content to their viewers. So polls on the news, trivia, recipes over cooking shows. So that suite of products is being focused on TV stations that are trying to move into the digital space.
And just to be clear, that's for delivery to the same target devices and platforms you talked about a few minutes ago, Roku,
Actually very focused on delivery to the TV set. So we're focused on making that TV set smart and digital. We're working with partners that help that television set have context for the first time. So the new Spark suite of products that we announced yesterday are very much focused on the smart TV, the connected TV landscape.
Okay. These are, I guess the code word for this is called a pivot. You start off with Squeeze and a codec called Spark, and now you're going off in a pretty dramatically different direction. What happens to Squeeze and Squeeze Server, that line of products?
Squeeze is a fantastic product line for us, and not least of all for the customer base and the relationships that we have. In some way, this is a pivot. I would like to say that we're kind of evolving the business. We've learned a lot from being in the online video space with our Squeeze products, and we see a lot of the transition that happened in online video happening in television. So we're bringing some of that learning and more importantly, some of that IP and technology to television, which is really the last digital frontier. So it's an evolving business, but we're still very much committed to Squeeze Desktop Server. We recently announced new versions, Squeeze Desktop 10 and Squeeze Server 3, and we have new versions of both of those products slated for next year as well. So very much committed to that product line, but also adding products around that.
Okay, and it looks like the new products really took a lot of development, not only on the coding side, but also on the marketing side. There's a lot of partnerships you talk about, and there's a lot of executive high-level stuff. I mean, do you win a lottery or something? I mean, how are you funding all this additional?
Well, we're very fortunate that we have a very simple shareholding structure. Jim Sorenson controls and owns the company and has done for the last 20 years. So we're able to do things that maybe other businesses that might be VC funded, aren't able to do, and we don't take that for granted. It's been a luxury that we enjoy, but it's afforded us the opportunity to invest heavily in new technologies and new products. And we'll continue to do that. We have products in development that are as exciting as the ones that we've announced now, that we'll be announcing again in the new year, and that